As we're the bosses, we're the managers of the clinic, and so neither Jenny nor myself have had official administrative or managerial training, but that's at least half of what we're doing each day in the clinic, is overseeing the work of the clinic there. And so please pray for us that we would be godly leaders, godly examples as we're overseeing the clinic. And then secondly, but much more importantly, most importantly for the work in the clinic, is that sometimes it's really easy, often it's really easy to forget about why we're there. So you get wrapped up, you're seeing patients, you're doing the paperwork, and you forget about the fact that you're there as a Christian or as a missionary. And so if you would just pray for us, that we would always have it in our mind, have that being our mindset, that we're there to adorn the work of the gospel. So if the most important work, the main reason why we're there as an entire mission is to spread the gospel, well, how does the medical work, how does the clinic support that work or adorn the work of the gospel? So you can pray for us in general, but you can also pray for the entire mission as we think about this question. It's really great to have Pastor Al, Pastor David there, because they can come over to the clinic basically every day. For example, they can come over and lead clinic staff devotions at the beginning of each day. They'll come over and they'll work with some of the clinic staff to do things like teaching how to deal with end-of-life care, how to pray with patients, etc. But then they can also come over every day and actually preach to the patients while they're waiting to be seen in the clinic. Jenny and myself, we can also be, as we're seeing the patients, we can be praying with them. We can be inviting them to church on Sundays. But again, please just pray for us overall as we're thinking about what does it mean to have a medical work adorning the work of the gospel. And then thirdly, if you would pray for peace in the clinic. So again, overall, we have great relationships among the clinic staff. We really enjoy working with them. But among those 16 staff members, there's 5 different tribes represented there in the clinic. And so you've got very different cultural, ethnic, spiritual, educational, etc. backgrounds all working together inside the same clinic. And so while overall they get along very well, if there are any problems, then often what happens is people kind of retreat into their tribal background and there is tension that develops. So for example, you've got this guy. His name is Leopold Godfrey. Godfrey is a Karamojong man who works with us in the clinic as a translator. And he's a Karamojong. And so his ancestry or his background is from that tribe that would go and steal the cows from other tribes. And so his family, his ancestors have gone out, they've stolen cows from other tribes, and they've probably either seriously hurt or even killed some of those other tribal members in the process of stealing the cows. And so you've got him working with a guy like this. This is Fred Soyekwo. Fred is a nurse who works with us in the clinic, but Fred's a Kupsabin. So he's from a completely different tribe in Uganda, and his tribe was the one that had the really nice cows in Uganda. And so the Karamojong like to go to the Sabine people and steal their cows. And so Fred's family, they're afraid of the Karamojong. They can't believe that we would work among the Karamojong, because they remember literally having to run for their lives, having to hide in caves with their cows so that they don't get hurt or have their cows stolen by the Karamojong. And so it's just one example of really different backgrounds working together in the clinic. And so if you would pray for peace overall in the clinic, that would be wonderful. I'm going to mention one other staff member that you could be praying for, please. And this is Okwai Moses, his wife Susan, and their daughter Anna Grace. Moses works with us in the lab, and he's probably one of our best friends or closest friends there in Nakale. He's a wonderful Christian man. He's got a wonderful attitude as he's working in the clinic, but there are a lot of tensions, a lot of pressures upon him. So first of all, Susan, his wife, she's actually a Muslim. And so you've got the tension of having a Muslim-Christian marriage, but also Moses, because he has a job, he's under a lot of financial pressures or tensions. So all of his extended family, all of his wife's extended family, they look to him to provide things like food and medical fees and school fees and things like that. And so again, lots of financial tensions are placed upon him because he has a job. So if you would pray for Moses and his family, that Moses would be a godly leader, a godly example for his family. This is one of our caterpillars. It's about 3 to 4 inches long, and I just think it looks really cool.
So what do we do on a daily basis? Our clinic is open for business hours from Monday through Friday, and we start our day about 8 a.m. with clinic staff devotions for the staff members that work at the clinic. And those devotions are usually led by Jim or one of the pastors or even some of our staff members. It's a great opportunity for the staff to hear the gospel, because them are living in that way. And so it's an awesome opportunity for us to not only share the gospel, but to encourage those who are Christians. And then we get started with our day with seeing patients. We can have anywhere from 5 to about 105 patients in a day. It fluctuates greatly. We just can never quite tell. They don't like coming out in the rain. They don't come on market day, so it just really depends. And then we're open in the evenings or on the weekends for emergencies as well. But each day has a little bit of a different feel to it because we have a few different programs that go on throughout the week. So Mondays are just a normal day. We don't have anything too exciting or different that happens that day. It's usually a larger number of patients because we've been closed over the weekend. And then Tuesdays we have a malnutrition program. So malnutrition can place these children at a really high risk for other infections, other complications due to their poor nutritional status. And so the mothers can bring their patients in to be screened, and if they meet the criteria for malnutrition, they are given a food supplement to hopefully increase their nutritional status. On Wednesdays, we don't really have too many patients because it's the local market day. So everyone from all around us goes down to the market and sells and buys goods and then comes home again. So we usually don't have very many patients, but then on Thursdays we have patients again. So Thursdays, not only do we see our typical patients, but we also have a prenatal program so our pregnant mothers can come in and be screened and make sure that their pregnancies are progressing appropriately. And then we also have our immunization clinics. So mothers can bring their children in for immunizations, and that's a really important and vital part of their health care. On Fridays, we go out to the villages to do an outreach. So one example of how our medicine can be a little bit different in Uganda, or how you have to think outside the box, is how we do our immunizations. So these mothers are mostly illiterate, can't read, don't understand exactly what we're telling them when we tell them what shots we're giving their child, so how are they ever going to remember? What if they lose their records and they come to the clinic and we have no idea what they've been given? Well, someone who was much smarter than I came up with a location system so that the mothers can tell us what shots the child has had by location. So for example, if we give them the diphtheria, pertussis, and tetanus shot, which we give here in the U.S. as well, it's a series of 3 different shots. We always give that shot in the left leg, because then the mother can come in and we can ask, well, how many shots has your child had in the left leg? And if they've had 2, we know exactly where they're at in the series of immunizations. This is Heather Foss. She is a nurse from the Tallahassee OP Church, and she graciously agreed to come to Uganda for the entirety of Jim and I's furlough and manage the clinic for us. So we're really thankful for her willingness to do that. And she would really appreciate your prayers as she manages in our absence. All of those things Jim has just mentioned about management for us, you can be praying for her as well. She's done a great job. We're really thankful for her work. On Fridays, we go out to the villages and do outreach, as I mentioned. And so that has looked different over the years, but currently is primarily an educational outreach. So we send someone out on Thursday to tell them that we're coming, and then on Friday when we arrive at the local big tree, which is where everything of importance happens, we have people waiting for us. So we will weigh our children to make sure that they are gaining weight appropriately. So we hang a butcher's scale in the tree and hang all of our babies in a little bag. And then we do some teaching. So the teaching can be anything from sanitation topics, like Jim mentioned, are a very big issue for us. So hand washing, boiling water, good cooking practices, or it can be on specific disease processes. So this is our friend JB, who is teaching about HIV, and she's using a pictorial cube to teach about that. We also can do the testing for the HIV right there under the tree, which is really great. We get a larger patient population to test that way. And then we also do Bible stories while we're out there under the tree. So one of the pastors will come along with us. Sometimes if we have visitors, they'll come along with us. It just depends who's available. But they'll come and do a Bible story as well. So we get to do a really comprehensive teaching time while we're out in the village. This picture may look pretty normal to you, but when I look at it, it looks pretty amazing. Because this is Pastor Dave Auken, and he has no one translating for him. So he's teaching the lesson in Karamajong. And that's a dream that we all would have as missionaries, but it's something that we're really working to accomplish still. So you can be praying for all of us as we work on the language, that we would be diligent in that, and that God would give us grace in acquiring language skills. We have lots of little scorpions as well.
So the last missionary family, so there's the Chakaricos, the Akins, us, and then there's the Wrights. So Bob Wright is our missionary deacon, and he is there with his wife Martha, and they have 5 children. So this is Anna, Rachel, Mary, Bobby, and Kipsy. And it's been a big year of transition for the Wrights as well. So not only were they on furlough for a couple of months earlier this year, but they also left behind Rachel. She's starting college this fall, or has already started actually. And their daughter Anna is in a boarding school in Kenya for her last couple of years of high school. And so they're there with 3 of their children. And if you would pray for their work, I'm going to tell you a lot about what Bob does, but then also Martha has her PhD in linguistics. So she does a lot of work with the language, works with some literacy programs in the surrounding areas, and does school programs, Bible schools, etc. in the local schools. So you can pray for her and the language work that she is doing. And then Bob Wright, again, he's our missionary deacon, and he kind of can do everything, anything. And so some of the programs that he's in charge of are, number 1, he's in charge of construction. So when he was here in the United States, he owned his own construction company. So he's got lots and lots of skills in terms of building and welding and things like that. And so, first of all, he's in charge of building our new clinic. So the old clinic is over on that side. We live over on that side. The new clinic is right in the middle, looking up into the big mountain. And so he can work with some of the Karamojong men and teach them many of these skills. So whether it's laying concrete slabs like this one, digging the foundations, doing the welding, etc., he can teach a lot of these skills to some of the Karamojong men. And so you can be praying for Bob as he's interacting with these men on a day-to-day basis. Not only in terms of the construction, but agricultural programs, etc., that he, as a missionary deacon, would also adorn the work of the gospel. So in his interactions with the people, in his day-to-day work, the diaconal work would also adorn the work of the gospel. So he, again, can teach them how to lay the concrete slabs. He can teach them how to do the stonework for the walls of the clinic, as well as the welding. And so our new clinic is being built out of locally available stone, as well as cement and metal. And so the goal is that our new clinic is going to be termite proof, so we don't get eaten out of our clinic. Next. We can buy the metal from down in Mbali or Kampala, bring it up. Bob has his own workshop there on the living compound. And so all of the windows and doors can be welded there locally. And again, he can be teaching some of those skills to the people there in the area. So this is what our clinic looked like back in March when Jenny and I left. So it's going to be 3 buildings. The front building is going to have 4 offices for seeing patients, as well as a lab. The second building is going to have the pharmacy, as well as a storage area. And then the third building, which is going to be behind these 2 buildings, is going to have a procedure space, as well as an office area. So the goal is to lay a concrete slab here in the front, and that's going to be the waiting or reception area, and then to have a tin roof that goes over the entire structure. So Lord willing, in the next year or so, the new clinic will be finished and we'll be working in the new clinic. This is just a random insect. That's cool. Go ahead. Bob is also in charge of drilling wells. So this is kind of one of his hobbies, one of his favorite things to do. He's developed a drill that he has on a trailer on the back of his truck. And he can go around into some of the surrounding villages or even on our local compounds and drill for clean water. And so again, it's a great opportunity to be out in the villages, interacting with people. Everybody likes to come and watch him as he's doing the drilling. And then the pastors or one of the visitors can do some Bible teaching, Bible stories while he's doing that work. Because he has his own drill, then he's drilled the wells for our living compound as well as for the clinic. And so because we have our own protected water sources, we actually do not have to filter or boil the water that we use, which is really nice for us. He is also in charge of the agricultural program. And so we've got what's called a Work for Food program, where we can hire lots of the villagers from around. They can come and help with whatever crop we're growing that year. So they can come and do the digging, the planting, the weeding, the harvesting of whatever crop we have that year. So this picture is of hibiscus. This is a cash crop that we started growing. It is used to make teas and juices. The product is sold. The money from that sale is then used to continue this Work for Food program. And then the people who work for us are paid using whatever grain or food product that we have available at that time.